Hello, what is up? My name is Mr. Regular. Welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about this deck. It's something that I've been using a lot and I'm experimenting with a lot, and I really felt like I wanted to get a little bit more comfortable with it before I did a video on it and covered it myself. So I've kind of made a few tweaks with it also. It's a Darkrai Arceus deck. It's designed to make Arceus or a Snorlax, depending on a sweeper. Something that can just go KO, KO, KO and just run through the board. But in order to do that, you kind of need to set up your board. So we're running a whole bunch of baby Pokemon. We'll get into how each one functions, but the majority of them are designed to ramp. And look at the list. We don't even play Pokeballs. There's a bit of a variation. Like we're playing 2 Repels, we're playing a Giant Cape. In this game, we get to see how valuable those 2 cards are in the list. Like the Repel is so good against the Suicune. The Giant Cape is so good against Suicune matchups. Because you're going to be playing against Suicune. Like a lot. So, a lot. It's this meta. But this deck does really well against Darkrai Giratina. It actually kind of low-key farms them, man. But this game is a typical Suicune game. They've got their Giratina, they've got their Furky. It's not looking good. It's not a situation where you ever want to be in. But one thing that the Suicune does struggle with is early game disruption. So we do a little young Repel and we get the Suicune back in the bench. Now obviously a inflatable boat, an XP, a leaf, and they're back in and they're attacking us. Yeah, the thing is, okay, let me just make this very clear. This is very important. I said this in the beginning, but you need to have Arceus or whoever is going to be your attacker. They need to be able to sweep. That doesn't mean like, oh, let me hit you for 130 damage and leave you on 10 HP. No, it needs to be, I'm going to knock you out. Okay? And then knock out the next thing. Arceus is not very good at trading hits. Now, this Giant Cape is so huge for us because I've played so many Suicune games. I've played against so many Suicune. I know exactly what the damage numbers are. And I know that Arceus struggles a lot with 120 HP. If he's on 120 HP, it's a very bad position to be in. But going back into this game, we don't need to put down another baby. We can take out this Furky, which is so important. They kind of pivoted around. They wanted to keep their Greninja online. They didn't want to put in the Suicune. I don't think they had Erida. But either way, we take the KO here, and we're in a pretty good position. So we get Mars. Doesn't really make a difference to us because we've just run all the Pokemon in our deck. We somehow managed to not draw into one. So yeah, they do something a little bit strange here. They decide to put in their Greninja. Which makes me think they don't have Erida because they would have likely been able to withstand an attack with Suicune and hit me very hard. Essentially 100 damage with the Greninja ping. We'll see now that they actually put down another Suicune, so it would have been 120, which means if they had the Erida, they would have likely been able to take out my Arceus the next turn. But a very important thing, look at me trying to repel a Greninja. You cannot repel a Greninja. It is not a basic Pokemon. Repel only works on basics. And I'm like, oh, but I can knock out everything in the bench. Yeah, you can, but you're going to have to deal with this Greninja. And the thing is, if I KO this Greninja, that Giratina is going to come up and hit me for 130 damage. So I retreat. Putting the energy on the Darkrai was a mistake. It was a mistake. You want to be able to have 3 energy on Arceus so that you can put your next energy on Darkrai to hit for 150. But yeah, they repel. We cannot give up our Arceus. Before we were maybe able to give up our Arceus if they didn't play like certain cards, because we have a Giovanni, and Giovanni can return KO the Giratina, but it cannot return KO the Suicune. So yeah, we will lose our Darkrai, which is not actually a big deal considering that we have all of the rest of our deck is essentially Pokemon. Like, it's going to be very, very difficult to break a basic game. We've already used our Repel. We already used our Giant Cape. So it's very likely a Pokemon, and now we can do 130. I don't know why I'm jeering here. That's strange because it doesn't change it. A little bit of beer, maybe. Guilty. But it does feel good to beat a Suicune. And yeah, like you've seen, that's how you beat them. You just gotta make sure that you are able to sweep, and also that early game disruption, really, really helpful. Right, guys, if you've made it this far into the video and you have not hit that subscription bell, do it now, because you're doing yourself a favor. If you want to keep your finger on the pulse with what's happening with ranked, I've got you. So I really wanted to talk about this video. Well, this match at least, because it's interesting. It's another Suicune game. I couldn't find a Darkrai Giratina game because you actually just win those. It's like this deck is like beats Darkrai Giratina, which is crazy. It's the second strongest deck, but it does struggle against Suicune. Now, obviously, every deck struggles against Suicune when there's a Greninja involved, but here is a very good example on the importance of setting up a sweeper. I said this right in the beginning of the video, like, it is all good and well, like, hitting for 130 damage, but that's not KO. Like, you need to be able, you cannot trade hits with Arceus. You need to be able to just to go, boom, you're knocked out, boom, you're knocked out, boom, you're knocked out, you know, like, so it gets tricky when you've got, like, all babies and you don't have your Darkrai. We do run cards like Giovanni and Red to help us, like, get to those numbers. But it is so important that we make sure that we can hit those numbers. Because you're throwing the game. You lose the game if you just hit and they are able to hit you back. You lose. So, with that being said, we've got a very interesting game. We've got the Repel in our hand. We see the Giratina. We're like, bro, get in here, man. Get in here. Because number one, we don't want to be hit next turn, right? We need to keep this momentum up. We've got the Giovanni, right? So the Giovanni could have knocked out the Suicune next turn. But also, like, we're trying to make sure that they just do not draw. Like, the draw capability of them, like, just staying in the active is just... Yeah, I mean, they still managed to get a Professor Research and draw 4 cards at turn, which is crazy. So, yeah, like, my fear is them getting a Greninja. So, maybe it was best not to repel there and actually just go in with the Giovanni and be able to KO. But now we just picked up the magic card. Now we have enough, despite not having Darkrai, to KO a Giratina. This is why red is really important in the deck, because it can specifically KO Giratina with no other Darkrai. Giovanni typically gets you there with most other Pokemon, but the meta relevant card that you're KOing with red is red. I mean, with Giovanni. I went through all the names. The meta relevant card that you're KOing with red is Giratina. And so next turn we've got the Giovanni. And yeah, like, we pretty much set up to win. But we only did that because we had red and we had Giovanni. We get Mars here, which is an absolute nightmare. Now we are, like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, you do not want to be stuck with Arceus, because now I just lose. I just lose the game straight up. I can't do anything. Look at my bench. There's no other, like, thing except you top deck the boss, bro. When you top deck the boss, So good, dude. I'm so good. That's why I want to put this video in, Loki, because that top deck, I was literally doing a backflip into my own like butthole, dude. It was so. When I saw this geo, like I literally audibly went, oh! It was so sick. And then the guy still I think he was bamboozled. Like normally they just have that, they have their finger over the concede and they're just waiting for it. I think this guy was like, no shot. Like he was just in disbelief. But anyways, guys, if you enjoyed that, if you want to keep up to date with the ranked, hit the like, comment down below, I respond to everything. And hit the bell, guys. Hit the bell. Subscribe and hit the bell. Alright, guys. With that being said, good luck out there. Cheers. So this game is very interesting, and I want to talk about it because maybe it might not come up for you, but this is something that you need to consider. So we're playing against a fire deck. Why is this important? Because what decks are fire decks? There's Flareon and there's Charizard, okay, that are popular right now. So I make a very big mistake here. I make a very, very big mistake here. See if you notice it. Have you noticed it? Give you another second. The clue is that we're playing against a Flareon deck. So how much damage does a Flareon do? That's 130 with almost 100% chance of them having EV bag / red. So my deck, I should have put down a Snorlax. Why is Snorlax important? Because it has 160 HP. That makes it incredibly more difficult for the Flareon to KO it. And I need to put down another baby because they run repels and I cannot put my Arceus into the active. Now in hindsight, I think that I should have put down the Snorlax regardless to start charging, because I've really set myself up to failure here. Because now all he needs to do is find a Magby, and the thing is, like, Arceus is a great sweeper, but he's not very, like, 140 HP is not a lot. Then I pick up my Darkrai, I'm just like, why have I not charged my Snorlax? Again, going first with this deck is so important because now on the second turn, you're able to finish setting up with your sweeper, with your ramping. So even if it was a 4 energy attack with Snorlax, next turn I'd still be able to go in and hit for 130, which is 100% taking out a baby, which is what this deck is doing right now. But so they've set up their board where now no matter which EV I take out, they've got enough for a Flareon to KO me. So what I started thinking was, let me harass down the Magby with my Darkrai pings. That's typically a good way of how you can deal with other babies. You can just kind of sit back. Alright, you know that you've got a KO with your Arceus, and you can just harass down with your Darkrai. But now, you also kind of give them a chance to do the same thing. They can also kind of set up, take their time, and move in with like a Flareon like this, which is only one price point, and it's not an EX. I cannot win the game by taking out this Pokemon. So now again, like, he's very much got his board set up for a checkmate situation, where if I go in with my Arceus and take out this Flareon, he's got the energy on his EV. That's all he needs, because the next turn he can evolve, he can go bust, and he can EV, he can red card. Remember, he's got 4 of those in his deck. So I'm like, I really messed up. I'm not very happy about this, but there's nothing else I can do. He hasn't played his Flareon, which is kind of giving me like hope that, okay, I can take this guy out. Maybe next turn, if he doesn't play, if he moves in his Magby, for example, I can repel him and then take out one of the EXs, maybe. I'm just like coping. But I know that I've made a mistake, that this should be a Snorlax, and I would be safe. A Flareon can hit, of course, for 170 damage with red and EV bag. I mean 160. Can hit for 170 with 2 EV bags. But again, it's very difficult to try and find that combination for them. So there's the Flareon. I just like, okay, well done, you win. I think they may have even top decked that, but regardless, it was a GG. It was strange. So this guy's name's Kyle. So my name is also Kyle. My real name. It's not actually Mr. Wriggler. I'm not actually a Wigglytuff. I'm a real person, But yeah, so this deck is a electric deck, and if you're wondering, how do you deal against Oricorios? And so Repel is very, very helpful, especially in the Suicune matchups. As you've seen how you know how to play against a Suicune, you can just set up a sweeper. But now a lot of them are running this Oricorio in, and it becomes like this, how do I get it around him? Repel sorts it out. But yeah, so this is a Tapu Koko variant. Like, we see a lot of the Zero Aura Silvales. This deck can also it cleans through them. The problem is against the Silvales Zero Aura version is the Rocky Helmet and Red combination. So you really have to be quite careful about having Arceus on 120 HP. So here we have a bit of like a think, and we're like, Zero Aura is going to be able to attach to the next turn and be able to KO the Pichu. So let's repel him out so that he can't KO my Pichu, and let's start charging the Darkrai. We've also, they can KO us now. We buy an extra turn with that Repel. So again, Repel just doing some really early game like tech things. Repel doing Repel things, right? There's the Oricorio. I'm going, curse you, Oricorio! But you know what? We've got everything in our hand that we need to beat an Oricorio. If you do some quick maths, right? Tyrogue can hit for free and hits an Oricorio for weakness, which is 40 damage. A Darkrai ping, which is 20 damage, is 60 damage. And a Giovanni that boosts that to 10 damage, 70 damage. 70 damage. So here we've got a situation where we can actually use the Giovanni to take out the Tapu Koko and put them in a serious situation. So they're in a very, very tight spot here. But this is Darkrai's, Darkrai, Tyrogue's time to shine, So I'm wondering, okay, maybe I should just attack with a Pikachu. No, even if they've got Giant Cape, they've got Electrical Switch, and they can Red or they can Guzma, and then I've lost my big attacker. So I put on my cape now from my back. I can attack with Darkrai Ping and hit with Tyrogue, and then move in still next turn and be able to hit the Darkrai for the full 100 damage.